Ho, ho, ho! 15 years, he'd been playing the same role at Riverside Mall. Children would sit on his lap, whisper their Christmas wishes, and parents would snap photos of their smiling faces. Everyone saw him as lovable, elderly, and harmless, just another retiree earning holiday money. Until that Saturday afternoon, when 3 armed robbers stormed the mall. That's when everyone discovered this Santa had spent 30 years as a SWAT commander. Welcome to True Human Tales. Before we continue this powerful story of hidden strength, protection, and a hero who never stopped serving, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us honor those who protect us in the most unexpected ways. Riverside Mall transformed every November into a winter wonderland. Twinkling lights, artificial snow, and in the center court sat an elaborate Santa's workshop with a massive red velvet throne where dreams came true, one magical moment at a time. Walter Kowalski had occupied that throne for 15 consecutive holiday seasons. At 70, he was the perfect Santa, genuine white beard, twinkling blue eyes, and infinite patience with children of all ages. Walter had genuine interest in every wish list and made each child feel truly special. The mall management loved him. Parents requested him specifically. Children wrote him letters throughout the year. Walter Kowalski wasn't just playing Santa Claus, he had become him. What nobody knew was that Walter's calm presence came from decades of SWAT command experience. Commander Walter Kowalski had spent 30 years leading Metro City's elite tactical team through hostage situations and armed standoffs. He'd retired quietly at 60, choosing Mall Santa as the perfect transition, surrounded by innocence instead of violence, bringing joy instead of justice, protecting smiles instead of solving crimes. But some skills never fade, and some instincts never sleep. December 22nd was the busiest day of holiday season. Lines stretched around the center court, children clutching wish lists. Walter had been in his red suit since 9 a.m., listening to wishes and posing for photos. By 2 p.m., 5-year-old Madison Thompson was on his lap, whispering about wanting a puppy, when Walter's peripheral vision caught something wrong. 3 men entered together through the north entrance. They moved with calculated purpose, avoided security cameras, and kept their right hands near their waistbands identically, a telltale sign Walter recognized immediately. Walter continued listening to Madison while conducting silent threat assessment, analyzing escape routes while promising to tell his reindeer about the puppy request. The 3 men split up, classic positioning. One headed toward jewelry, another toward electronics, and the third remained near center court as lookout. Walter's blood pressure didn't change. His breathing remained steady and controlled. To everyone around him, he was still the jolly elf listening to Christmas wishes. But inside, Commander Kowalski was calculating response times and tactical options. "And what about you, young lady?" Walter asked Madison with perfect Santa cheerfulness. "Have you been good this year?" As Madison nodded enthusiastically, Walter made eye contact with Jerry Martinez, the mall security supervisor. Walter gave him a subtle nod, a professional signal Jerry recognized from his security experience. Walter finished with Madison, helped her down with grandfatherly care, and waved to the next family. To everyone watching, nothing had changed, but Walter Kowalski was preparing for war. At 2:47 p.m., Walter saw the coordinated movement that confirmed his suspicions. All 3 suspects reached for their concealed weapons simultaneously, a level of synchronization that only came from planning and practice. They weren't random criminals, they were professionals executing a planned operation. The first shots rang out from the jewelry store. Screaming erupted as shoppers realized their Saturday had become a nightmare. Parents grabbed children, elderly shoppers stumbled, teenagers pulled out phones. Organized chaos became pure terror. Walter Kowalski remained seated in his Santa throne, calm as a lake at dawn. "Ho, ho, ho," he called out in his warmest Santa voice, loud enough to carry over the initial panic. "Boys and girls, Santa needs everyone to listen very carefully." The children in his immediate area turned toward him instinctively. Even in crisis, kids respond to authoritative adult voices they trust. "We're going to play a special game," Walter continued, his tone maintaining perfect Santa warmth while his eyes tracked the gunmen's positions. "Everyone needs to sit down right here in Santa's workshop and stay very quiet. The first family to follow Santa's instructions gets extra presents this year. It was psychological crowd control disguised as Christmas magic. Instead of adding to panic, Walter created calm in chaos. Parents began following his instructions. Children, trusting Santa completely, sat down and looked to him for guidance. Walter reached into his Santa coat and retrieved something that hadn't been there an hour ago, a tactical radio disguised as a Christmas ornament. Mall security, this is Santa. Code black in progress. 3 suspects, coordinated assault. I have visual on all positions. Jerry Martinez's voice crackled back immediately. Santa. Walter? What the hell? Lock down all entrances. Call Metro SWAT. Tell them Commander Kowalski is on scene. There was a pause. Commander who? Just make the call, Jerry. And stay off the radio unless it's urgent. Walter looked down at the 15 children and 8 adults who had gathered around his throne, all looking to him for protection and guidance. Their faces showed the kind of trust that comes naturally to people in crisis when they encounter someone who clearly knows what they're doing. Now, Walter said, his voice gentle but carrying absolute authority, Santa needs all the grown-ups to help keep the children calm while I talk to some very naughty people who forgot how to behave in Santa's workshop. He stood up slowly, adjusting his red coat and straightening his Santa hat. To the children, he still looked like the jolly old elf they'd been waiting to meet. But anyone with military or law enforcement experience would have recognized the transformation. Walter Kowalski had become a tactical commander wearing a Christmas costume. Walter's 30 years of SWAT experience had taught him that successful crisis resolution required 3 things: accurate intelligence, tactical patience, and absolute authority. He now had all 3. From his position at the center court, Walter could observe the entire mall's main level. The 3 gunmen had revealed themselves through their actions, but they'd also made a critical error. They'd underestimated the importance of controlling the center space. Walter now held the tactical advantage from the mall's most visible and acoustically superior position. Attention, shoppers! Walter's voice boomed through the mall with the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed in life or death situations. This is mall security. We are implementing emergency lockdown procedures. Please remain calm and follow the instructions of any uniformed personnel. The psychological impact was immediate. Walter's voice, still warm but now carrying unmistakable command authority, cut through the panic like a lighthouse beam through fog. People stopped running randomly and started looking for direction. One of the gunmen, the one positioned near electronics, shouted back, "Shut up, old man! Everyone get on the ground!" Walter's response demonstrated 30 years of hostage negotiation experience. Son, you've made some poor choices today, but it's not too late to make better ones. Mall security is cooperating with your demands. There's no need for anyone to get hurt. It was classic de-escalation technique disguised as Santa's gentle wisdom. Walter was simultaneously calming the crowd, gathering intelligence on the suspect's psychological state, and buying time for professional backup to arrive. The second gunman, positioned near the jewelry store, seemed to be the leader. He was older, more focused, and showed tactical discipline that concerned Walter. This wasn't a desperate robbery. It was a planned operation with professional elements. "You in the Santa suit," the leader called out. "Keep those people quiet and nobody gets hurt." Walter nodded agreeably, but his hand was already reaching for his backup radio. In his calmest Santa voice, he replied, "Of course, son. Santa always helps people solve their problems." Then, in a voice pitched low enough to avoid the gunman's hearing, Walter began providing tactical intelligence to the responding officers. 3 suspects, professional-level coordination, leader positioned at jewelry store shows military bearing, suspect 2 at electronics appears nervous and unpredictable, suspect 3 maintaining overwatch from north entrance. To anyone watching, Santa was comforting frightened children. In reality, Commander Kowalski was running a tactical operation while maintaining his cover as a harmless mall employee. What happened next showcased why Walter Kowalski had spent 3 decades leading Metro City's most elite tactical unit. Instead of waiting passively for rescue, he began systematically turning the situation to his advantage, using resources no one expected Santa Claus to possess. First, Walter activated the mall's emergency communication system using codes Jerry Martinez had never known existed. Suddenly, Every speaker in Riverside Mall was under Walter's control. "Attention, everyone." Walter's voice echoed through every store and corridor with crystal clarity. "This is emergency command. All civilians should move calmly toward the nearest emergency exit and follow evacuation procedures. Security personnel, implement Code 7 protocols immediately." The three gunmen looked around confused. There was no Code 7 in standard mall security procedures. But every off-duty police officer, security guard, and military veteran shopping that day understood they were receiving tactical instructions from someone with professional authority. Second, Walter began using the mall's security camera system to coordinate with responding officers. His Santa throne was positioned directly under the center court's main security camera, allowing him to use hand signals to communicate tactical information to the police command post being established outside Third. And most importantly, Walter began psychological operations designed to create doubt and confusion among the gunmen. His 30 years of crisis negotiation had taught him that most criminals operated on adrenaline and bravado. Remove those elements, and they usually collapsed. "Jennifer." "Gentlemen," Walter called out in his most reasonable Santa voice, "I'm getting reports that police have surrounded the building. Nobody needs to get hurt today. Santa's workshop has always been a place of forgiveness and second chances. It was a masterful blend of tactical psychology and Christmas symbolism." Walter was simultaneously delivering tactical intelligence, the building was surrounded, offering negotiation opportunities, nobody needs to get hurt, and maintaining his cover identity, Santa's workshop. The leader by the jewelry store was beginning to show signs of stress. What should have been a quick smash-and-grab operation was turning into a prolonged standoff with complications they hadn't planned for. "Who the hell are you?" the leader shouted at Walter. Walter's response revealed the full scope of his transformation. "I'm Santa Claus, son. And today, I'm here to remind you that it's never too late to choose the nice list over the naughty list." At 3:23 p.m., Metro City SWAT teams made their coordinated entry through 4 separate entrances. What they found was a situation unlike anything in their tactical manual. A 70-year-old man in a Santa suit had single-handedly contained 3 armed suspects while protecting dozens of civilians and providing continuous tactical intelligence to responding officers. The operation was textbook perfect. No shots were fired, no civilians were injured, and all 3 suspects were taken into custody without incident. When SWAT team leader Lieutenant Sarah Chen approached the center court, she found Walter still in his Santa throne, surrounded by children who had remained calm throughout the entire crisis because they trusted that Santa would keep them safe. "Sir," Lieutenant Chen said formally, "I'm told you're Commander Kowalski?" Walter looked up with the same twinkling eyes that had been charming children all morning. "Actually, Lieutenant, today I'm just Santa, but thank you for the backup." Lieutenant Chen had read Walter's service record during the drive to the mall. 30 years of SWAT command, hundreds of successful operations, commendations from 3 different police chiefs. She understood exactly what had happened here. Santa, that was exceptional work today." Walter smiled and adjusted his red hat. "Santa's job is to protect children, Lieutenant." Some things never change. The aftermath revealed that the 3 suspects were part of a regional crime syndicate that had successfully hit 12 similar targets across 3 states. Their downfall came from underestimating a mall Santa, who happened to be one of the region's most experienced tactical commanders. On December 23rd, Walter Kowalski returned to his Santa throne at Riverside Mall. Word had spread quickly through the community about what had happened, but Walter insisted on maintaining his normal schedule. Christmas was tomorrow, and children were counting on him. The line that morning was different, though. Parents lingered longer, asked more questions, looked at him with a different kind of respect. Children still climbed onto his lap with the same trust, but now their parents understood why that trust was so well placed. "Santa," asked 8-year-old Timothy Rodriguez, "my dad says you're a real hero. Is that true?" Walter's answer captured everything about his dual identity. "Timothy, heroes are people who help others when they need it most. Sometimes that means being a police officer, sometimes it means being a firefighter, and sometimes it means being Santa Claus. The important thing is always being ready to help when people need you." "Will you always be here to keep us safe?" Timothy asked. Walter looked out over the mall, the same space where yesterday he'd prevented what could have been a tragedy, the same community where he'd spent 15 years bringing joy instead of enforcing law, the same children whose trust had never wavered even in crisis. "Ho, ho, ho," Walter replied with genuine warmth. "Santa will always be here when you need him, Timothy. That's a promise." Walter Kowalski continued his role as Riverside Mall's Santa for 3 more years before finally retiring at 73. During that time, he became something of a local legend, the Santa who had faced down armed robbers with nothing but Christmas cheer and 30 years of tactical expertise. The mall installed a small plaque near the center court, in appreciation of Santa's special helpers who keep our community safe. Walter never acknowledged it directly, but he'd nod approvingly when children asked about it. More importantly, Walter's story spread through law enforcement communities across the region. It became a teaching example in crisis management courses, how experience, calm leadership, and improvisation could turn civilian bystanders into tactical assets. But perhaps the most significant impact was on the children who had been there that day. They learned that protection could come from unexpected sources, that adults they trusted really would keep them safe, and that sometimes the most ordinary people were capable of extraordinary things. Years later, many of those children would remember not the terror of that afternoon, but the calm voice of Santa telling them everything would be okay. They learned that heroes don't always wear uniforms or carry badges. Sometimes they wear red suits and say, "Ho, ho, ho," while quietly saving the world. Walter understood that the most important victories are often the ones that preserve innocence rather than destroy it. His greatest tactical success wasn't stopping 3 armed criminals. It was ensuring that children could still believe in Santa Claus even after witnessing the worst of human nature. Some people serve their communities by enforcing the law, others serve by bringing joy and wonder to children's lives. Walter Kowalski proved that the very best public servants do both, switching seamlessly between roles as circumstances demand, always ready to protect what matters most. Now I ask you, have you ever encountered someone whose calm presence made you feel safe during a frightening moment? Share their story in the comments. And if this story reminds you why we need protectors in unexpected places, subscribe to The Human Stories. We honor those who serve in every season, whether in uniform or in costume. Their watch never ends.